I promise I'm going to Facebook Live. I'm telling you, y'all ain't ever seen nobody who's gonna nap so good. I'm gonna nap like a champion. I'm gonna get the gold medal for naps today. I'm gonna nap so hard. It's gonna be fantastic.
When I was younger, my mom used to say if napping was an Olympic sport, I'd win a gold medal.
Man, tell me. They're gonna be like, she already won. I don't think she notices. She's still asleep. She is really good at napping. Wait, I think she's waking up. Nope, she's just turning over. She's turning to the other side. That's gonna be me. Well, Facebook Live, we ain't on here to talk about me napping. It just kind of came up. What we're actually going to be doing is talking with Mr. David Vaughn. Yes, it is Vaughn. I want to make sure I pronounced that right. He is running for Craighead County Circuit Clerk. Excuse me, he is the Republican nominee. I hope that he will be able to join us. This morning it's been just a wide range of technical difficulties. So hopefully out of 3 shows, 1 will go fine without technical difficulties.
Fingers
I'm
crossed.
optimistic. Yeah, I'm optimistic like that. But in any case, much like with Ms. Deborah Johnson earlier, if we cannot get him, then we will, oh, there he is. If all else fails, we will reschedule because it's important for you guys to know what it is that you're doing and have all the information you need before you go into the voting booth. Hello, Mr. Bond.
Hello, how are you?
Doing well. We'll be getting started in just a minute.
Okay.
We still have a little bit of time. But we are on with Facebook Live, so Facebook Live can hear us. Hi, Facebook Live. And hopefully T-Rail don't come bursting in the middle of the interview, as he is so fond of doing.
Hopefully not.
And it's not even that it really bursts in, it's just that all of our doors have security alerts on them. So when the door opens, we get a notice and you can hear it. So I'll be having a very important conversation with great detail, and then you hear door 1 open. And I'm just like, completely ignoring that. Let's continue on with this conversation. No one heard anything about the doors opening. But they did. We all know they did. All right, our intro is rolling. We have about 25 seconds. KLEK 102.5 FM. Good afternoon and welcome once again to Community Conversations. I am Allie J. Tabor. I am being joined by Ms. Brittany Lewis, one of our political analysts, and Mr. David Vaughn. He is the Republican candidate for the Craighead County. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and give our disclaimer. KLEK 102.5 FM and the voice of art or oppose any issue, topic, public official, or candidate for office. The content in this stream is provided for educational purposes to keep citizens informed. We do not tell you how to vote, who to vote for, but we do encourage you to get out there, make your voice heard, and vote. To register to vote is October the 10th. Early voting starts October 24th, and election day is November 8th. And with all that being said, good afternoon, Mr. Vaughn.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Doing well. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you decide to run for the circuit clerk.
Well, as you said, my name is David Vaughn. I've been in Craighead County my whole life. I've been in public service work for basically my whole adult life. I've worked for the sheriff's department for the last 21 years, where I'm currently employed there as a detective. I'm sergeant over the criminal division there. And just seen a need in the last couple of years of some things that weren't kind of falling through the cracks, maybe weren't being done. As most of you know, there was a lot of negative press concerning several government offices in Craighead County, and something we just don't need. Seen a need there for some new leadership. The circuit clerk's office is something that I'm fairly familiar with through the sheriff's department, because we deal with a lot of the same cases, a lot of the same forms and paperwork go back and forth between our offices, and just thought that was something that I could fill that leadership void that they needed in that office.
Okay. Now, for those who are watching, explain a little bit about the job of the circuit clerk.
The circuit clerk is they're the clerk in Craighead County. They're the clerk for almost all the divisions of the circuit court. In Craighead County, the county clerk does the probate court, and the circuit clerk does all the rest: the juvenile court, the domestic relations court, civil and criminal through circuit court, and then they also do real estate records. So all of the real estate forms, there's probably just on e-file forms that can be filed electronically. There between 75 and 100 different forms that go through that office just on e-file for the real estate records. And each one of those has a different system, a different number for the system. Each form does. So it goes in a different place. We like to say it's a difficult system, but it's just very detailed, as it should be. So you just have to learn each and every little intricacy of the software there.
Ms. Brittany, did you have a question?
Yes, and I'm glad you explained to our audience a little bit more about what the position does. Can you also put it into context of how this may affect the average person in the community, whether it be, my loved one died and now their property is left and I'm trying to find the deed, or, has a loved one going through the court system right now? Just,
earlier in the year when I was going around speaking with some people and meeting with some groups, I kind of put it like, I would have everybody in the room, like who thinks that they haven't been affected by the circuit clerk's office? And, you'd be surprised at how many people don't know that in some way their lives are affected by it. So it's just I think that things need to be a little more transparent and easier to find, especially online. If you'll look at some of the other counties, the websites for the circuit clerk's office specifically, just an example that I like to use is Washington County, just because that's one of the first ones that I went to when I started researching. They have basically a sub-page, that you click into off of the Washington County page, and it will tell you every form that they file, the cost of that form, and in many cases, it will give you a sample of it that you can print off and go, follow that form to have that basically almost a step-by-step to help you with that system. And that, whether it be documents like order of protections, the circuit clerk's office are charged with all of that. And those things, once they're signed by the judge, they have to be got, file marked, put in the system, and then shipped off to the sheriff's department to get them served. And that has to be done very quickly because, as you know, that's a very serious matter. But even other forms, that could cost somebody, keep them from getting a job because their record wasn't sealed up the way it should have been, or they're also the county collector for child support. So if child support is court ordered in Craighead County, if it's not going through the clearinghouse, which normally at the start of it it's not, it goes through the circuit clerk's office. So that check goes to the circuit clerk, and then they pass it on to the not the custodial parent to have that money to provide for those kids' needs, whether it be school clothes, school lunches, any of those things. So that's also another huge undertaking to make sure that money goes where it's supposed to go.
Yes. That's actually very good. And you just taught me something as well, because I didn't realize they did all that with child support too.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned you have a very nice website, by the way. And something that I noticed on there is that you really want to fix the current processes that are going on. So what is the current process right now, and what do you see yourself being able to bring to the table to streamline it or correct any issues that you see in it?
Well, there's so many different processes that office, it's just a huge office. You don't think about it, but they're attached to every other county office. And you have to have a relationship with not just the other elected officials, but with the other people in their offices. Like we have, Craighead County is kind of a fairly rare setup. We have two. It's not really a dual seat. I don't like to think, but we have an office in an Eastern District office, which not only houses the circuit clerk's office, it also houses the county clerk's office over there, and all the county offices that operate out of that. They have to be well known with each other. Number one, they got to share an office. Number two, they have to know enough about that other office. If say the circuit clerk over there has just stepped out for a few minutes for a break and somebody comes in, they need to know a little bit about what they're doing in order to help that person, and not those residents come there on their breaks too, or they come there on their lunch hour, and we don't want to push them out thinking which, by the way, they do a great job over there. I've always done business at the Eastern District office, even though I live over here close to Jonesboro. But just a lot of cross training, a lot of, I want everybody to know at least the basics of everybody else's job, including myself. We need to know the people that are working on the criminal cases also need to know a little bit about the real estate side of it and land records. And, some of the local mayors I spoke with wanted to see a closer relationship with the assessor's office for the land records side of things. And some of the stuff they were talking about sounds really great in theory. And if we could make it work, it would be great. But, it's more, county judge business. But and bringing that in, you want to bring that to the table, to kind of streamline everything so that you know how other people's offices work, so you know what they can do to help you, and you know what you can do to help them.
Okay. I like that. Not operating in a silo.
Yeah.
What skills or qualifications does it take to do the job of a circuit clerk?
Well, I think number one, what really got me was I just thought there was a lack of leadership over there. I think you have to be able to bring people together, bring the office together, and be able to delegate. There will be issues between offices and between people in your own office. You need to know how to deal with that. You need to have some conflict resolution skills. I think having been, I've served in so many different areas at the sheriff's office. I've been really blessed to be trained in a lot of different areas through the two sheriffs that I've worked for. Worked in a school as a resource officer for almost 5 years. And when you work in a school as a police officer, you also work in a school as a teacher and as a counselor. And some days you're the principal. You have to know how to deal with parents that come to praise the administration or the teachers, and the others that are on the other side of it that don't. You just have to know how to talk to people and how to bring people together as a leader and keep things moving in the right direction. Like this website issue is one that I really have just come on in the last couple months. Ours is acceptable, for now, but there's just so much more information that can be put out to the public. Instructional wise, we could do, some small videos on how you go about filing these forms and who you need to talk with for this one and that one and where you need to start. Because believe it or not, everybody starts with the sheriff. Everybody goes to the sheriff's office and asks to start with, where do I need to go to do this? So, I think it would be a big help to the public to just have that information out there and available to them.
Indeed. Ms. Brittany, did you have another question?
Yeah, I actually had a follow-up question from what he was saying. So if you were to be elected as our circuit clerk and you got that opportunity, the time comes, because I'm sure it's a ton of work for that position, but you got that opportunity to finally revamp the website the way you want to, and it's your dream website. How would you go about making sure the residents know about it and know how to find it and use it? Because it'll be wonderful if it's created, but it's also important that everyone knows how to access it. So how would you go about trying to communicate with the citizens?
To kind of get the word out.
Yeah.
The local media, what KLEK does is amazing with the community stuff that they do. Having some young people work for you is a big help for social media, because that gets tremendous word out to the young people with social media. I know, I grew up without it, so I can't imagine putting these youngsters in a world that doesn't have social media now, that all this information is at their fingertips for everything. So we need to kind of follow suit and put our information at their fingertips. They want instant results for every search that you could ever think of. They want to be able to put that in their phone and find something about it. To get the word out is just that, on the media, through social media. I would visit some of these other counties and see how they got their websites to where they're at. how they got the word out for them. But media like KLEK, all of our local radio stations, because once you get that developed, like you said, you want people to be able to find it, and I think that'll be a pretty big deal when it gets going, for the people of Craighead County to be able to search some of that stuff. Because I mean, they've got property searches on theirs. You know, it's crazy the amount of information for their foreclosure sales. They've got a lot of it also in Spanish, so they got bilingual on there. They can search the court cases or land records. They can pay their circuit court fines and fees online. And a lot of this, we do some of this too. It's just not as easy to find out how. That's the big deal. Where it takes them 1 or 2 clicks and they're there. You kind of got to search for ours sometimes. You know, they've got a section for most requested documents and examples of those documents. So it's just a wealth of information, really.
All right. Going to our Facebook Live for just a moment. Miss Linda Johnson Spicer, she says, "Hello, David, my friend." And she says that you are more than qualified,
Hi, Linda,
which leads me to my next question. My next question is, what makes you so qualified for this job?
I think a lot of it is just what I was kind of talking about. The time that I put in at the sheriff's office and all the different roles that I've served in. And right now, being a detective, you have to be very detailed, and you have to be, pay really close attention to those details, because sometimes lives hang in the balance on our, what we do. I think, I served as a SWAT member for years, a SWAT operator, and there's not much better way to learn to trust people than to have, a door in front of you that you don't know what's behind it, and 3 or 4 guys behind you that not only are dependent on you, you're dependent on them to stay alive. So leadership skills that the sheriff's office has taught me, conflict resolution through my time at the schools, and as a detective and as a sergeant. I think I've dealt with just about every situation that you can think of. So I have some experience on how to not knee-jerk react, and how to kind of see things clearly and let things fall into place before you make a judgment on them. And I believe that falls into the leadership aspect of it.
Okay. Ms. Brittany?
Yeah, I wanted you to, because I like that you're talking about your time at the sheriff's office that you're currently still at now. Can you paint for our listeners a little bit of the backlog that you mentioned on your website, that is currently there? There's a backlog from the circuit clerk office. How does that affect the law enforcement as they're trying to do a warrant or, do a summon, anything? How does that affect your day-to-day operations to help others in the community that you serve?
Right now, we've got a pretty good relationship with the office right now. They're doing a great job of starting the process of getting things rebuilt and getting things going in the right direction. I mean, I can't speak highly enough about the people up there now that are running the show, and the people that are working there. They're doing just an excellent job. But the details of getting and all of this doesn't fall. I mean, things fall through the crack, and it's not always. So we think, if we don't get that warrant on our desk, it's a circuit clerk's fault because they're the ones that have to send it out there to us. But before they can do that, we've kind of got to send it. Somebody has to send it to them to get it filed and marked and all that before it comes to us. But we've had warrants that came through the courts, we may not see for weeks. And so the people that are on that warrant could have been contacted 4 or 5 times by law enforcement, and we didn't even know they were wanted for any reason. And maybe they knew, maybe they didn't. That's a big problem for us as a safety issue for not only for the public, but for law enforcement to approach them as well. If they know they've got a warrant and we don't, what would they do to keep from going to jail? Sometimes they're just, the vast majority of times, once we catch them, we catch them. They're the vast majority of times they're not violent. They don't flee from us. They just come with us. But there are always a few that have just kind of had enough of jail life and they don't want to go back. So it could put citizens and officers in danger in that aspect. I think they've done a pretty good job of getting some of the old backlog. And when I talk about that, it's not that they've just been sitting there and haven't been dealt with. The paperwork has been dealt with as far as when it was immediately filed, but it's not. There's not a digital copy of it, or it's not scanned into the system, so it's easily searchable. That's kind of what the backlog that I'm talking about. And there's a couple of pay for part-time positions in the budget that hopefully once everything starts flowing as we feel like it should, maybe we can get those people to working on that part of it, to scan that in so it can be easily searchable.
Okay, so the efficiency of it and ease of accessing the documents and stuff.
Yes.
All right.
So do you feel that is the biggest issue that the county clerk office has to deal with, or what do you feel is the biggest issue, and how do you propose it be solved?
The biggest issue when I started to run, of course, some things have changed in that office since then, because I've been at this for about a year. Was, like I've said many times, was the leadership issue. Casey's done a lot to fix that since she's been in charge, and she's working hard to do that. I think anytime you have a change, though, from one person to another, there has to be, everybody's kind of got to regroup and see, they'll have to see what I expect out of them, and then I'll have to see what they expect out of me, because it's not just a one-way street. When you go into a place like that, you hear, well, I'd go in and I'd fire them all and hire somebody else. Well, that's crazy, really. I mean, look at all the experience you've got in that office right now. And some of them that are back, that have left that office and now they're back there. So a lot of experience. I think just sitting down with the employees and going over, how we think the day-to-day office is going to be run, finding out their strengths and their weaknesses, letting them find my strengths and weaknesses, and I can help them with their weaknesses and they can help me with mine.
Awesome. So we only have a few minutes left. In that last few minutes, is there anything that you would like to say to the listeners, potential voters, or just any last thoughts that you want to leave with them?
So many. So can we go a few minutes long? No, really, we've covered a lot, and I appreciate I just want to say thank you for having us on. It's hard sometimes, especially with all that's going on nationally and all that's going on statewide in politics. It's hard to get anybody to listen to a county race that's, not either the county judge or the sheriff. If you're the, the tax collector or the county clerk, or, it's just hard for people to wrap their head around all of that at one time. So thank you for that. I'm going to have a little, kind of a hangout. September the 8th, Thursday, 5:30 to 6:30 at Shadrack's at Hilltop. It's a great little place just kind of hang out. It'll hold about 10, 15 people probably, but in kind of a drop-in thing. It's not that, I told them I'd tell everybody this, it's not an endorsement. They're just letting me hang out in their room and meet the people that want to meet me. I have some signs available. If somebody wants to sign, I have volunteer spaces available. If somebody wants to do some door knocking, they want to do help out working the fair or something like that. So we'll be at the fair every night as well. Of course, we are taking donations. I understand that it's tough times. So, but unfortunately, it does take some money to run the world, and politics is no different. So, just looking forward to getting to talk to some people. Actually looking forward, when we're out meeting and greeting and talking to people, I really enjoy that part of it. Now getting up and getting ready to go do it, sometimes I think, man, I don't want to do this, but once we get out with everybody and get to start talking and sharing stories and answering questions, and you guys have had some great questions. Thanks for asking them, by the way. I think it helped me kind of bring some stuff out that needed to be talked about. There's still some budget issues there that we've got to try to get fixed through the quorum court, and we'll approach that immediately upon election. I talked about the web page. We'll also update the Facebook page in the same way. All the documents, we'll work with other county offices. We'll work with other counties trying to get Craighead County up to where we think we need to be.
What is your website for those who may want to check it out? What is your website?
My website is Vaughn for Clerk, and it's the number 4.com. I've got a Facebook page. It's David Vaughn for Circuit Clerk. Email. It's David Vaughn for Circuit Clerk at Gmail. And you can contact me in any of those ways. I'm really easy to find. You can send a message to my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page. I respond usually fairly efficient at that, I believe. But we're here to help. We're here to talk to people.
All right. And on that note, I would like to thank Mr. David Vaughn for joining us. Thank you to Ms. Brittany Lewis for joining us and sharing some fantastic questions. Once again, KLEK does not endorse, support, or oppose any issue, topic, public official, or candidate, but we do encourage you guys to get out there, make your voice heard, and vote. Thanks for listening to KLEK 105. All right, thank you both so